Workers all out today dealing with the year's first major snowfall.
It's been several days of preparation and anticipation of this. This is, as we talked about, the first snowstorm of the decade. Right now, the current forecast doesn't indicate that there's anything unusual about this storm. So every single member of our snow response team will be ready to go.
Salt trucks and snowplows began their routes this morning. They're expected to work through the evening and overnight into tomorrow. Environment Canada says the snow will taper off to showers or wet flurries by tonight and early tomorrow as temperatures are expected to climb above freezing. Drivers are advised to stay off the roads and to take public transit if necessary. The TTC also dealing with the snowfall, saying additional staff have been added to monitor the streets. They've also added more buses so transit can help move those who need to get around this weekend. Toronto Police also reporting some buses are getting stuck in ditches. Low visibility and bad road conditions causing drivers around the GTA to get into messy situations. Here's a look at OPP Sergeant Carrie Schmidt's drive along the 401 just beyond Guelph Line.
Just spoke to our communications center, our emergency operations center, and we are dealing with approximately 40 crashes on the go right now as we speak. And as quickly as we can clear them, new crashes are happening. Cars are spinning out of control, going sideways, getting stuck. Be careful out there. Understand the conditions. If you don't need to be out on the roads, today's a great day to stay home and stay off the highways.
So a significant snowfall for us, but nothing compared to what our fellow Canadians to the east are dealing with. Newfoundlanders woke up today to mountains of snow. A state of emergency remains in place in St. John's and other municipalities, and Ottawa has agreed to grant the Premier's request to send in troops to help out. As Kayla Hounsell reports from St. John's, days of digging lie ahead.
Gower Street, typically a busy street in downtown St. John's. Not today.
This is incredible.
The state of emergency has been extended at least until tomorrow, possibly longer. That means businesses have to remain closed and vehicles must stay off the road. So people tried to get around as best they could. Many snowshoed, others, well, rolled.
I thought I got to go out and just take a look around and see everything because it's very, very rare you'll see the streets in downtown St. John's so quiet.
It's not yet really about cleaning up, but rather getting out. Many couldn't even see their cars.
It's scary when you open the door and then you see the snow is piled so high and you have to crawl out the door and crawl on top of your car to, get a gauge of how bad it is.
Against the backdrop of those famous, colorful houses, sometimes heads were visible, sometimes not. The Premier has called in the Army.
There has been a request made for assistance to the federal government from the Premier, and we have said yes to that request.
There is so much snow, the City of St. John's has received special permission to dump it in St. John's Harbour to help with this massive cleanup. There's just nowhere else to put it.
I was up in Toronto for 7 years, and yesterday they were preparing for 15 to 20 centimeters of snow, and I just long for those days. But you know what? Once the wind dies down, you go out at night, it's actually quite beautiful here and pretty romantic. So
Thousands are still without power.
We're making some chili.
But it's difficult to find Newfoundlanders who aren't good-natured, despite the challenges. I had to trudge through snow up to my waist to get to this woman. Still, she sees the silver lining.
There's women out all the time shoveling, and we have these big, deep-rooted conversations about what it's like to be an independent woman and not relying on a man to come and be with us to help us in situations like this. So
they're getting by helping one another.
There's a gentleman on my street who had surgery there 2 weeks ago, so we just checked on him, helped him shovel out, and that's about it. Right? It is what it is.
It will take several days to clean up from this historic storm, but for the four-legged Newfoundlanders, it's just a pretty good time. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, it's not just Canada. Stormy winter weather is also affecting the American Midwest. Blizzard warnings are in effect, and some places could see 30 centimeters of snow today. In Chicago, more than 200 flights have been canceled. The storm has already closed schools and roads in Kansas this week. Well, let's bring in Sonia Sash for a look at the weather. So, Sonia, of course, in comparison, those folks out there in St. John's, we're pretty lucky here.
we are definitely lucky, but still this low came with an impact. It is making its way through, definitely now hitting Ottawa and into Montreal, but we are going to still see some of that snow, especially on the back end. Now let me just break that down a little bit. Milder air does begin to push in around 7 or 8 o'clock tonight, and so we could see that mixing of rain and mix of snow from GTA all the way west. But then going into Sunday morning, on the back end of that low, we could still continue to see that snow accumulation and the wind gusts up to 70, 90 kilometer per hour in certain areas, definitely along the lake shore as well. So if you don't need to be out and about tonight, tomorrow, probably a good idea. Things do get a little milder. So again, that's why we're seeing that mix of rain and snow. But then into the overnight hours, again, it begins to get colder, and that's when we're going to see, again, more of that snow and the impact of that. The wind gusts do get and are increasing right now. They do die down tonight going into tomorrow evening before the system passes. Let's take a look at what we can expect tonight over the next 6 hours. Again, it's just going to be snow, and that's going to continue into downtown Toronto, into the overnight. So again, please be careful if you are on the roads. Otherwise, please just stay home and enjoy a cup of coffee or hot cocoa or something by the fire.
Sounds like a great idea right about now. Thanks, Anya.
Thank you.
The city says crews are working hard to keep roads safe, but it's going to take some time to get snowplows around to all the side streets. Remember, you can track the city's snowplows in real time online. Just head to toronto.ca/plow-to. Let's take you now to a vigil happening in Thornhill, honoring the victims of Flight 752. The plane was shot down in Iran last week, killing everyone on board, including 57 Canadians. The mayor of Markham and federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh are among those in attendance. We spoke to the woman who organized the event before it began.
It has taken young, distinguished people's life among our community, Iranian community, as well as other people from Afghanistan, Ukraine, and all those people. We are here together just to commemorate all of them.
The vigil was organized by the Imam Mahdi Islamic Center. Guest speakers will share memories of the victims to ensure their stories live on. The organizer says they hope the event shows victims' families they're not alone in their grief. And an update on the Iranian air disaster. Flight recorders from the Boeing airliner are being sent to Ukraine, and Tehran says it will allow the information to be examined by experts from France, the US, and Canada. The devices were heavily damaged, and Canada has urged that they be sent to France, which has special capacity for reading them. Today's statement from Iran says they will be sent to France if efforts to read them in Ukraine are unsuccessful. It has been 2 years since serial killer Bruce McArthur was arrested. Around this time last year, McArthur pleaded guilty to killing 8 men over a 7-year period. The remains of 7 of the victims were found in planters at a home in Leaside where McArthur stored landscaping equipment. Today, the owners of the house held a memorial. Angelina King was there.
Braving the weather, they gathered to honor the victims.
And so we remember Salim Essen, Abdul Basir Faizi.
Each of them had individual lives and unique stories. One of them liked to bake a chocolate stout cake and had a cat. Another one was a new Canadian who had come here on a ship from Sri Lanka.
Bruce McArthur was arrested 2 years ago. On the same day, Karen Fraser and Ron Smith had to leave their home so police could search. They found the remains of 7 victims in planters McArthur kept at their house. He stored tools there in exchange for landscaping. Refusing to let him define their home, they held the memorial today to help others heal.
We also don't want the families to think that everyone has just forgotten and moved on because we're fine. There has to be a moment for such tragedies.
Most of the victims, as well as McArthur, had ties to Toronto's gay village. Metropolitan Community Church says the community is still healing and is holding a special service tomorrow.
Despite the horrors of this tragedy, now 2 years later, we're able to say there's some good things that have come from this. Different communities have come together, new friendships have been made, and I think we're working together to make sure this kind of a thing can never happen again.
A report on how missing persons files are handled, including those in the MacArthur case, is underway. In the meantime, those at the memorial say to look out for one another.
Most of the men were accessible to MacArthur because they were living at the edge of our social fabric. They were lonely, somewhat disconnected, and I think it's a lesson to us all that we need to reach out and pull people back from the edge. It's never going to be over. It's just one of those things that seems to stay with people.
And that's why Fraser is working on setting up a permanent memorial here in this park just across the street from her house. She wants to create a place where people can come and honor the victims to ensure they won't be forgotten. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
2 people, including an elderly person, were forced out of their Burlington home after a car fire sent smoke up into the townhouse above. It happened on Maple Avenue near the QEW and Fairview Street at 11 a.m. Fire crews arrived to find a car that was parked outside one of the units fully engulfed in flames. Officers entered the unit to find 2 residents inside and help them out of the house. The occupants and 2 officers were treated for minor smoke inhalation. The fire was deemed not suspicious. Well, a new pneumonia-like virus in China may be more widespread than initially thought. Coronavirus is from the same family as SARS. As Lorenda Redicott reports, some airports have added extra screening in an effort to prevent the virus from spreading.
Passengers arriving from Wuhan, China are now subjected to extra screening at 3 U.S. airports in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and JFK in New York. 100 health officials are on hand to check their temperature.
The earlier we can detect the virus, the better we can understand it, and the better we can protect the American public.
Authorities have confirmed coronavirus in 62 people, with 2 reported deaths. Those infected are in China, Thailand, and Japan, but all have a connection to the Chinese city of Wuhan. Many visited a seafood market. According to Canadian officials, it's since been closed for disinfection. But a new study out of the UK suggests the numbers could be vastly underestimated, saying more than 1,700 people may have the virus. Coronavirus is from the same family as SARS. That respiratory illness killed more than 800 people worldwide during an outbreak that started in 2002, including 44 deaths in Canada.
The case of SARS is similar to the case in Wuhan. So, I'm quite worried.
But health officials urge caution.
Even if this turns out to be very similar to SARS, we know about it 4 months ahead of time. If it comes to Canada, we will understand something about how long it takes from when you're exposed to when you get sick and what the illness looks like and how transmissible it is.
Canada has no direct flights from Wuhan, China. But over the next week, extra signs will be added to airports in Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. They'll remind travelers from Wuhan to tell a border official if they're experiencing any flu-like symptoms. Plus, electronic kiosks will include an extra health screening question. Lorenda Redicott, CBC News, Toronto.
We sort of created this experience to tackle the larger conversation around the future of our planet and sort of the paralyzing fear that tends to come along with that.
Design and responsible consumption. Still ahead, we visit Toronto's Interior Design Expo to look at ways we can create a more sustainable future. An announcement from Buckingham Palace today. Prince Harry and Meghan will no longer use their royal titles or receive public funds as they look towards an independent future. The unique arrangement comes into effect in the spring. The Sussexes will no longer represent the Queen, and they are making a commitment to pay back millions in funds used to refurbish their Windsor residence. They plan to split their time between Britain and Canada with their son, Archie. The Interior Design Show, held annually at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, is the largest of its kind in Canada and features architects and artisans from across the country. Known as IDS, this year's show is centered on the theme of environmental sustainability. As Jelena Adzik found out, it's about far more than the latest trends.
You wouldn't expect meat and food to be featured as part of the Interior Design Show, but it is, because it looks like meat, but it's actually made of seaweed. And it calls into question every single aspect of environmental sustainability, and really to get us to rethink what we consume. Hannah O'Donovan designed several of the public lounge areas at the show specifically with sustainability in mind.
And we have in the space some table lamps from a studio in Vancouver called East Van Light, and the bases are made out of recycled bamboo chopsticks from restaurants, which is incredible.
The whole purpose of the show is one of the most sustainable things that you can do for yourself is to buy good original design. You should be buying your future heirlooms, essentially.
That means more than ever, the focus is on handmade goods.
Technology has improved so much, even in the last few years, that it allows our price points to still be accessible.
I mean, unless you get in line with the environment and you get in line with sustainability, I don't think your company's going to survive, quite frankly.
Vanessa Fong is the architect behind the main feature installation called Reset Home, based on pleasing the five senses. Here, plants are part of the walls, with sustainability closely tied to personal wellness.
As primal humans, connection with nature is so important, and just mentally, just having that visual, mentally you're at ease, right? So your health and well-being is really concretely impacted by even a simple move by bringing in nature into the house.
Talk about holistic design. There's even a meditation space at the Interior Design Show. Colette, hi, what's going on here?
Hi, I'm here with home meditation today, just offering some guided meditation for people to just have a chance to connect with their breath and their body, breathe in the oxygen of the plants, and then continue on throughout the rest of the show today.
All right, clearly redefining what is ecological design. All right, I'm going to say peace out. Jelena Adzik, CBC News Toronto. Colette, you're going to take it away?
We are, yeah. So we'll just sit nice and comfortably, rolling the shoulders back.
Every day, every one of us walks by at least a homeless person. And unfortunately, we're really desensitized by it.
Braving the winter weather to help those in need. After the break, we'll take you to North York, while dozens help to pack survival kits for the homeless today. Stay with us.
It's a phone.
Another live look at Toronto for you, where the snow continues to fall. We are still under a snowfall warning with about 5 to 10 centimeters of heavy and local blowing snow. It is chilly too, so if you are out, please bundle up out there. But Sonia was saying it's probably best to try to just stay home and have a cozy night.
Absolutely. It was definitely treacherous getting into the city, definitely. TTC is now reporting delays across the city. So into our overnight -2, feeling like -8. But the snow will continue, but as the milder air moves in, we will see a mixing of rain and snow. And then on the back end of that low, more of that snow going into London, back into downtown Toronto tomorrow. So again, please be careful if you are making your way through the city. So Monday, Sunday morning, again, more Niagara Falls. We could see that snow. Winds are all the way through into Hamilton region. Strong wind gusts up to 70, 80 kilometers per hour. Again, that snow squall making things very, very difficult to navigate. So if you don't need to be out and about, please don't. The 401 is going to be pretty hectic. We've seen lots of accidents, lots of people spinning out of control. The milder air, again, does make its way through around 8, 9 o'clock tonight, but then it does drop. That's when we're going to see, again, a return to that snow spanning from Windsor all the way through to downtown Toronto. Those wind gusts come from the northwest, cooling things off again, bringing snow squalls and more of that snow until Monday morning as things start to ease off. I did want to show you this. If you are making your way through along the 401, 402, Highway 21, There will be reduced visibilities thanks to that snow squall in effect. Again, please drive safely, but for the next couple of days, things will wind down. On Monday, feeling like -10, and then kind of rebounding on Tuesday, -3, feeling like -9. So there is end in sight for sure.
Good to know. Okay, thanks, Sonia.
Thank you.
More than 100 volunteers in Toronto braved the winter weather today to help pack and hand out survival kits to those on the streets experiencing homelessness. It's called Project Winter Survival, an initiative that not only provides the essentials to surviving the winter months, but also gives a bit of hope.
So in front of us, we have an example of what's in a survival kit that we built today and are distributing. Most importantly, a sleeping bag and a stuff sack that has a shoulder strap. So in the morning, someone can stuff it back in and put it on their back. The obvious, a warm toque, a warm scarf, a pair of winter gloves, and we've got 2 pairs of socks this year. We've got all sorts of hygiene products, from the obvious of toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, hygiene products for the face, wipes to clean yourself, Kleenex, and then of course nutrition. People need food. We've got Kind bars, Luna bars, we've got bottles of water. Everything fits into one bag, as you can see. And if you had nothing, this is the kit that will provide you with everything you need to keep you from A, freezing to death, and B, giving you hope. Today we had over 100 corporate volunteers, families, people who came out, who fundraised, who did drives. They came out, and in a few short hours we packed 3,000 kits, and right now they're all going outside as 240 shelters and outreach programs are pulling up, and the volunteers are now loading up the vehicles with all of the kits.
About 3 or 4 years ago, I was panhandling on Yonge Street, and some people approached me with one of the survival kits. So this kit not only provided me with the material needs that I needed to get through the winter, but also with the inspiration that there's still kindness out there. It helped me get my house today and my employment that I've kept for a number of years now.
But we need more kits. I mean, this year there was 18,000 kits requested, and we built 3,000, which is an amazing, but there's a big discrepancy. So we're still fundraising, we're still trying to get more donations in so that we can build more kits, because the winter has just begun.
It's desperate need for those kits still. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. We are going to leave you with another look at the snowstorm on the East Coast, because if you think it's bad here, don't tell St. John's, Newfoundland. Have a great, safe, and warm night, everyone.